Hey, Mike, how are you?
I'm great. How you doing, Bob?
I'm pretty good. It's Tuesday night. Welcome to the Pop Culture Squadcast Live, episode 114, I think. And I only know that because I pay attention a little bit because we're gonna have a guest tonight who was on episode 7, I think. So it's been a while, and we're gonna have Matthew Dow Smith on tonight to talk about his stuff, what he's got going on, and what he's got coming up. How are you this lovely Tuesday that I will see you in 2 days for?
That's certainly true. And yes, we're having dinner in 2 days and then a whole convention after that.
Are you
I'm
coming
doing
with us?
okay. It's weird outside. We had strange weather yesterday and the day before, but we're intact. I'm intact. Not ready to quite run that marathon, but I'll hobble
Well, the
over to.
good part is there's a marathon.
There is a marathon.
So on Saturday at Baltimore Comic-Con is the Baltimore running event. There's a marathon going.
Yes, that happened a couple years ago too. Which
It was several years ago. It was a big point of consternation with the
yes, it was.
organizers.
Yes, it was, and I wasn't appreciative of it. But I mean, it's not like San Diego where the convention takes over the entire city.
True. The
Baltimore had
other
one.
good thing is there's no Ravens game on Sunday. And we're talking, people, we're talking about Baltimore. If you've never been to Baltimore, it's a very, very small inner harbor downtown area. So when there's a sporting event and something going on at the convention center, there's a lot of crossover, and it gets more chaotic than normal because everything's right on top of each other.
Whoa, I lost your sound there for a second.
Oh, am I back?
Oh, yeah, you're back. It's fine.
Okay.
No, that was my fault entirely. Sorry.
Okay.
Uh, I love Baltimore. I love the show. I've been going since it was just a wee little 2-day show, and now
Yeah.
it's one of the majors, and I'm really happy
Well,
for
it
everybody
is
involved.
it's gonna be a great show. We're gonna talk about that for everybody who's listening and watching. Um, we have um, we have Matthew Dow Smith, and we're gonna get to him pretty soon. We're gonna talk about a couple of things that happened this weekend, and we're gonna get Matt in. But later on in the show, we're gonna bring in Brad Tree, who's one of the organizers of Baltimore Comic-Con. He's the person who collects and does a lot of the managing of getting pros to and from and coming to the show. We're going to talk to him about what they have in store, and that'll be fun. Also, because Brad's a friend and a super good guy and a big time lover of comics, uh, and he's
Well, you see, that's what makes the show unique to me. Aside from San Diego, many of the big shows, are run by people who really don't know the field, don't have that connection with comics, with the genre itself. And Baltimore is not like that at all. Everybody there is really into comics. Brad knows his stuff, and he's just, among the other staff leaders there who do. So it's a
right.
pleasure to go there.
Well, let us let's start out tonight with a little bit of sad news. The news came out today that Drew Struzan has passed.
Yeah.
For people who don't know, he was an artist, painter, legend. All of these things that you see on the screen in front of you are his art. Some of the most iconic film posters you've ever imagined or you've ever seen were his imagination and his designs. He is an artist in the most significant way. If you are not an artist, you find out about Drew Struzan from other artists. They're like,
That's true.
That's
true.
I had a very good friend of mine said, well, I have a Drew Struzan original, and I hang it on my wall, and I didn't know I didn't know the name associated with the art, and I'm like, oh, that guy, right. But it is that it's sad. He'd been ill, and I think that was known, and so yeah, it's a sad day. You had something you wanted to say about him.
Well, every artist who does movie posters in particular, who's big at it, sets a trend for his generation. And maybe generation is a little too broad a concept here, but for each era of movies. And Drew truly, totally represented the last several decades. Not so much this one, because he has been getting along in years, but before that, he was the last. Oh, I hate using the word iconic because it's so overused and it means nothing.
Iconic.
Everything's an icon. Drew is an icon. And was wonderful. He would meet with any artist, talk with them, share technique, give advice. A lot of people in this field will do that, and that's great. And some just won't, and some are pricks about it, and some are just shy. Not Drew. He was great. If you look at Facebook right now, you will see dozens of artists, very accomplished artists, doing their little tributes to him. And it's an endless number, and not everybody even knows that he had died. So it was quite stunning, even though, he's 3 years older than me.
Well, it had been announced, revealed in March that he had been suffering from Alzheimer's and he was retired. He was not going to be working anymore.
Yeah.
So, and I remember that happening. But it's a sad thing when someone like that passes. Immediately I thought of my good friend, and I texted him and I'm like, hey, did you see that Drew passed away? He's like, I just found out. It's terrible. I'm like, but it's things like that where art brings people together in ways that we don't always remember or imagine, because immediately I thought of my friend, because I know how much it means to him. And so that's that part of culture, and that things mean things to other people.
There's a phrase that has gone around the last decade or two about how the internet has allowed lies to spread faster than the speed of light. And that is true.
Oh, I double checked.
But I know that. But and so did I. And there is a flip side to that, which is that it allows the broadest possible community to mourn together.
Sure.
And that's a healing thing. That's a very, very good thing. Some of the comments made about Drew will bring tears to your eyes. And if all you know of him is from his work and you didn't even know his name,
right?
Great opportunity to really look into this guy. Great stuff. Great stuff.
Absolutely. Again, sad note, but we're we want to, if you don't know who he is, go find him. There's a book of his that I highly recommend called it's that French word that means your body of work. I have no idea. Yeah, that's the one. Oeuvre, is that right?
Yeah. There's also a great magazine that reprinted a couple stories of mine, or articles of mine with that name.
Oh, okay. That's good. All right. Real quick, we're going to get to a couple notes, and we're going to get our guest in very soon. So just hang with us. Some comic news roundup. Well, New York Comic-Con was last weekend. Baltimore Comic-Con is this weekend. There were a lot of things that happened at New York Comic-Con. The one thing that didn't happen was that I wasn't there. Maybe we'll fix that next year. But tons of news got announced. Just gonna hit highlights, and you can give your opinions on these. The Ultimate Universe is coming to an end in Marvel.
Yay.
There's a lot of parts of it that I like.
Well, I understand that. My overall feeling is
I'm okay with it, though.
There's just too many different alternate versions of everybody.
Fair. The Absolute Universe is going to keep going at DC.
Maybe.
Well, I think that so there's some weird crossover stuff happening at DC. If you haven't seen the news, like there's this KO thing that's happening. There's going to be some crossovers with properties that don't make any sense, which I'm not terribly surprised by. But there is going to be another crossover that was very weird. I don't know if you saw this. Is it Swamp Thing is killing the children? So a crossover with Swamp Thing and something is killing the children.
That makes sense. I don't find that. Why do you think that's
that one's not that one's the one that I was. That's the one that was okay. There was some other things like, I don't know, Sub-Zero is going to be fighting Superman. I don't know.
Yeah,
there's some crossovers out of this KO thing. It's just a mashup. It's just throw everything in there and see how it goes. And it's an exercise for the writers.
But I felt that way when they announced Batman versus Elmer Fudd.
But those were good.
That was one of the best comics I've read in my life. And it was so good that Neil Adams just went off and animated the whole thing on his own. That's how much he liked it.
Yeah.
I got that. Yeah. It's also beautiful, by the way. It must be on YouTube or something.
We're going to get to this one as it comes along, but the one of the most interesting things I thought from the Big Two coming out of the weekend was they announced the first 10 books in the new Vertigo lineup. Mm-hmm. And they sound interesting. The big hit is 100 Bullets coming back with Brian Azzarello and Eduardo Riso. And one of the things that they decided to do was put creators together with writers and artists that have worked together before, that have already a synergy. So they're doing this. They're definitely mature, non-superhero, non licensed properties. There's nothing it's all kind of created stories and characters and stuff like that, and it all looks kind of interesting, and we'll get to them as they come out. They're going to start next year, but I really like the idea that they're going into this and saying, hey, we're going to go to people who know how to work together from the beginning to see if we can get things going.
That's always a smart move. I mean, one would think that would be where you start everything, but it is a very smart move. What I've found ironic about Vertigo not being around is that Vertigo had started all of this stuff, brought all of these types of stories, not to mention talent, over into America, into the world, into the notoriety that DC's distribution could give them. And then they went away after everybody else started saying, oh, cool, we can do this. Let's do something like this. So Vertigo is one of the most influential events in comics over the past 30 years. Notice I cut that off after First Comics.
Sure.
But one of the most influential. And now it's back where it belongs. I mean, they started this fad.
I hope that they can be a cradle like they were before. I mean,
yes.
I mean, you and I've had these conversations, and I have very, very strong feelings about Vertigo. I hope that they can foster some of the cradle of creativity that it was. And it's interesting because I spend a decent amount of time talking or paying attention to, let's see, paying attention is not the right word. I see some stuff online um, uh, with younger people who are in their early 20s or teens or whatever, who are just finding out about comics and getting into it. And they approach it in ways that I don't understand because I'm an old man. And but I encourage their curiosity and I encourage their love of the medium. I love that. But people don't, those people at that age, they hear Vertigo and they're like, oh, well, whatever, it's Sandman. There's so much more than it was just Sandman. It was, Scott Snyder came from Vertigo, right? He was at Vertigo before he went anywhere else. And all the rest who, a lot of people came to America through Vertigo because they didn't have first to hire them, but anyway, it's a good piece of news. We're excited for that.
I'm thrilled because it seems like justice.
Well, again, it's when it was first presented, and this is the argument that we have, is that are they just going to use the label and not the spirit? And again, I still don't know that. We haven't gotten the books. We don't know how much they're going to support the books, but I hope that we still do get the spirit, not just the label.
There's no other reason to do it. That doesn't mean they will, but there's no other reason to do it. They had some great people involved. I'm not just talking about the talent. I'm talking about the staff people, the editors there, some wonderful, wonderful people up and down the block. And
sure. We've had some of them on the show.
And we've had a lot of them on the show for good reason.
Exactly.
Because these are the folks we want to hear from. So I wish not just those folks, well, this is a justification of the work of all those folks, but the new generation as well. Every generation needs something like that.
Yeah, I agree. So the other piece of Marvel news, and it wasn't like it didn't feel like I got a whole lot of indie book news this weekend. Maybe I missed it and I wasn't there to see it. But there's always room for that. There's going to be a bunch of indie publishers that are going to be at Baltimore this weekend. There's Ignition's going to be there. Mad Cave, I think, is going to have some sort of a presence. And so we'll hopefully find out. Abrams is going to be at Baltimore as well.
Oh, really? Oh, that's cool.
Charlie will be there. You get to see Charlie.
Good. I can start writing jokes now.
Good. We need to get Charlie on the show.
We do.
So the interesting thing, Marvel's got some other news other than the fact that they're ending the Ultimate Universe. There's a new book coming out in January called Dungeons of Doom. And what has me very intrigued by that is the writers of that book are Philip Kennedy Johnson and Benjamin Percy. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing what those two working together is like, because they're.
And what's it about?
I have no idea. Dungeons of Doom. It's just Dungeons of Doom. That's all you need to know. It's in the aftermath of one world under Doom.
Right. That's the obvious question.
So we'll see how that goes. Also, the other part that was interesting is that there's going to be a new Iron Man series, written by Josh Williamson.
Yeah, that's interesting to me too.
I think that's
the idea that there's a new number one.
Well, that's not.
It's like that. That means that this is a day with a Y at the end. But that's an interesting casting call.
I am intrigued. I'm not someone who, I've read over 100 books this past week. Because of if you watched the end of last week's show, obviously I have a lot of time on my hands. I read a lot, and I was very happy to catch up on a lot of indie books that I hadn't read. I read things that I had bought. I've had like 7 issues, and I haven't even read issue 1 yet, but I read them. I mean, that was a very small dent in the pile. There's lots more to read, but I haven't read Iron Man in a long time. And please, no disrespect to anybody who's writing it. It's just it's got to be the right thing to catch me, and I'm interested in seeing Josh's take.
Yeah, me too. I bailed on Iron Man about a year ago, and I've done that from time to time throughout his history, which started after my history started. It's a good character. It's a great character when done right, but it's too easy to retread the same old ground.
I mean,
for Iron Man, you know what he is. He's Tony Stark. He's rich. He has a certain very specific personality. He's one of the smartest men in the Marvel universe, which is full of really smart people. So, that makes him interesting. But it makes Tony Stark interesting. He's one of the leaders of the Avengers. That's interesting. But show me something new.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what it is. We'll see what's going on. I'm interested to see that one. Anyway, that's our comic news roundup. I appreciate you guys listening to our opening dialogue. We're gonna bring our guest in because it's been too long. And I need to talk to him because he's got some good stuff coming out. So, if you've been following the show for any length of time, we typically, when we have a guest, we do a little bit of an intro montage video that we do. And Matt has been here for quite some time. So I went back and looked at his old one, and it's not editable, because the program that I use to make them has upgraded so much since I had him on that I had to go and basically recreate a whole new one because I couldn't fix that one because those file formats don't work anymore. So that being said, I would like for everybody to welcome Matt Dow Smith back to the show. Oh, hey, you're muted. Let me get you unmuted here.
It's like watching your life pass before your eyes.
Yes. That's the intent. That's what I did it right then.
You did it absolutely right. Oh, look at
all. You should have made it go faster.
Yeah, no, that would have been great, Mike. Thanks.
Yeah, speed it up.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. Yeah, I'd forgotten about the apparition. I had worked on that. Yeah, with one of the Pruitt brothers. Was it Joe? It must have been Joe.
It was James. Anyway. It was Jim.
Was that James?
Yes, it was not Joe. I originally thought, I'm like, oh no, it was Jim.
Well, one of the more frightening experiences at a convention, and Matt, I'm sure this has happened to you because you've been around long enough. People will bring you stuff to sign that you forgot you worked on.
Yeah,
and like you're flipping through the book as some sort of strange nostalgia thing, and the other people in line behind them want you to just sign the damn thing and move on,
Well, there's one issue of Generation X that I drew half of, like in 1998 or something, and I had completely forgotten about it until someone brought up a copy to me at a show, and I'm like, oh, I didn't work on this. And like, oh yeah, you did. I'm like, really?
I'm sure you get this a lot because when people, at shows, people who are collectors, they're like, oh, I'm gonna look. I did this, 11 years ago when I was just going to shows. You look at the list of people who are coming, and you look at what you have and who worked on them, and you pull them out and you bring them.
Yep.
But you've done a lot. You've done a lot of like variant covers. So I'm sure somebody will bring you something and say, here, and you're like, well, this isn't my cover, right? You get something like that. Does that happen?
The one that happens that is now an ongoing joke is there is another Matt Smith. There actually
there's that. No, that's not an ongoing joke. That's a fact.
That's a fact. People bring me up his books all the time, and I've joked about it with Matt that I'm just going to sign them. There's no conversation. I'm just going to sign them, thank him for reading it, and move them on their way.
He's good with that, right?
Yeah, and he's absolutely fine with that. I mean, we have a long running joke that one of these days we're going to have a Highlander. There could be only one battle. The problem is he's an incredibly good artist. Well, the problem is he's a really incredible artist. I mean, just really very good artist, and he's just the nicest guy.
Sure.
So I used to work on Hellboy, and now he does a lot of Hellboy stuff. I really think that we should do a Hellboy book together. And
100%.
See if we can find one of the other Matt Smiths in the comic book industry to participate.
There is another one.
There are at least two more.
I met one of them. I think I met one of them in New York, and he's not either of you.
There's another one who is a Matthew D. Smith, who goes by Matthew
really?
D. Smith. Yeah. So I think he'd done some stuff at Vault or something, or at one of the smaller companies. But yeah, no, there are several Matt Smiths.
May I make a suggestion? I suggest that you do what Frank Sinatra did. Frank Sinatra trademarked his name. Now, so did Adolf Hitler, and Hitler got paid for every postage stamp his face was on. I don't think you have to go to that extreme.
Do not.
I'm not going to go to that extreme.
47.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole reason why I go by Matthew Dow Smith now, which is my full legal name, is because Matt Smith kept cropping up. And as far as I know, there's only one other Matthew Dow Smith, and he, at the time that we got in touch with each other, lives in Texas. There's nothing to do with comics. Had just like Googled his name at some point and was like, oh, funny. So this may be incorrect information, but my understanding is that any family that has Dow in some names passed down the generation has something to do with like this itinerant preacher or something in New England who, shall we say, again, this may be apocryphal, but who was very intimate with some of his parishioners. I don't know if that's actually true or not, but I've heard that story before.
I love family lore.
Yeah. I came across that like random fact, like not even from my family. I found it like someone talking about it online, that it's like famous guy. It's like this famous guy who kind of was, just kind of wandering around New England, preaching the gospel. So anyways, that's probably not a story I should be telling on a podcast.
When I was in high school, my senior year in high school, I got called into the principal's office with cause. And when I got there, I met another guy named Mike Gold, who was a freshman. And they just didn't know which one the principal wanted. I knew which one. But Mike, the other one, the younger one, was just beside himself because he had no idea why he was there. So I said, no, I'm sure it's me. This is a mistake. And he didn't know anything. He was just frightened. Freshmen are frightened. Yeah. Seniors don't give a damn. Freshmen are frightened. And we had this swell conversation until the principal was ready, and he just shooed the younger one away. Just shooed him away. And I was thinking, like, I wonder if he's disappointed Never saw him again. He may have left town. I don't know.
Escape. I don't want people confusing me with that other Michael. I'm out of here.
Yeah, I'm out of here. Yeah.
I mean, everything. I think I have, both my names are very common. So I've, my day job, my email address is robert.d.harrison because it has to be but the funny part is there's not another Robert Harrison at the agency. It's just because it's there. But I've never had.
And there isn't likely to be one for a while.
Well, we're going to get into that right now. I'm having a good time talking about comics.
I'm sorry.
Way to bring us all down, Mike.
I know. I can't help myself. The world's coming to an end. Isn't it funny?
Come to an end right as I'm putting out new books.
Well, let's talk about that. There's a new book that is coming out, and Mike, I was wrong. I told you that the October Girl was coming out in November. It is not. It's coming out in October next week.
There's a bizarro story where they invented the month of October. This is true. Around 1962.
Oh, wow.
Do you want to tell the story?
No.
Okay.
It was just the headline on the Daily Planet. Of course, the Daily Planet was spelled backwards. But
is this an Onion article?
The dateline was October, and I thought, well, sure, it's the bizarre world. Of course, it's October.
The folks at Mad Cave sent me a copy a little while ago, and I knew that it was coming, and I saw the cover, and I'm like, oh, that sounds great. I'm so glad Matt's doing that. And I read it today, and I love it, and I love it so much. I have so many things I want to talk about with it as much as we can. But
of course,
I also want, for folks who aren't here, and we kind of mentioned this, Matt's been here a while, hasn't been here a while. One of the things that happens on the show, sometimes when we're done talking to you folks out there, we still talk. And after our last show, Matt's like, okay, I'm going to tell you that it's not announced yet, but it's going to be announced that DC is going to do some work with me, which became Misfits of Magic. That was not announced at the time, but we were kind of talking about, because you were playing with it at the time, and there were some things that happened. So I love the style that you've embraced. I love the way that you have gone through this, and I want to talk about what's in the October Girl book, but I want to give you an opportunity to talk about the history of the October Girl.
It's got a complicated history, yeah.
Right. That's why I'm giving you that opportunity.
Well, thank you. Let me just grab the microphone here. Listen, I mean, it's such a hard project to talk about because, one, there was a previous version of this story.
Really?
In the early days of Comixology, just I think within the first few years of Comixology launching, we had done. The people at Monkey Brain Comics who I'd known, they were just starting up Monkey Brain Comics, and they had approached me about maybe doing a book for them. And I had this idea that had been in my head literally since college. Like, this is the very first story that I ever came up with. When I first decided to be a comic book creator. And this has been living in my head for this entire time. So we started it at Monkey Brain Comics, and we did a few issues. But it was just the beginning of digital comics. It was one of the sort of first wave of digital first comics. And to be honest, the audience wasn't there yet. They still wanted their print.
It was
comics.
2012.
Yeah. This 2012, and so the audience wasn't there. We couldn't keep it going. Just financially, it wasn't feasible. But the story kind of never really died. I mean, this is a story that is really, really important to me. And so when the opportunity came up to do it as a graphic novel and kind of finish the story, I jumped at the chance, but because I'm me and I never do anything the easy way, I I completely started from scratch. It's the exact same story that we started in 2012. You know, it's we uh, I had always intended it to be for a wider audience than just sort of adult comics. I wanted it to be like a teen thing, except the young adult market wasn't really there in comics yet. So, you know, I was talking to Mad Cave and I was like, can I do this just like straight up as a like YA kind of comic? And they're like, yeah, great. Do whatever you want. So I'm like, okay. So I did.
Yeah.
And that's this book that finally comes out. It's the first of a series. But yeah,
How many are there going to be?
Well, that, you know, that's always the difficult question. There are quite a few stories in this universe because I've had 35 years to think about it.
Sure. And just real quick before we get to that,
Mhm.
so the issues that came out from Monkey Brain that were on Comixology
Yeah.
original, how there was like I think 4 issues. There are 4 issues that came out. Is that
I had done quite a bit more, but yeah.
But is that inclusive? So that, what the story
No,
that
so
happened there is?
So the story is the same, but I started again from scratch. The art style is different. The art style was updated. I didn't even look at the old issues until I was done. So, but it's, you know, it's the exact same story. It's just been redrawn to be a slightly more modernized and slightly better for the audience. And also, it's
Well, I mean,
the original.
you get older, you get better as you get older, as you have more experience. I mean,
God, I hope
right.
so. My storytelling makes more sense. My writing's better.
Sure.
I would like to think. Though
I
just
love
as many
the style.
typos. Thank you. Yeah, this looks the way it does, kind of because of Misfits of Magic.
Sure.
I'd had so much fun changing my style over to the kid style, and then I was thinking, oh, you know, what would a YA version of the style look like? And that's the style I used for the October Girl. And sort of the funny thing is, when I went back and looked at the original issues, I'm like, oh, I basically just slowly worked my way to drawing back the way I used to be drawing years ago, just without the shadows. It was the weirdest thing. But yeah, no, this is the book.
I'm not gonna show too much from in here, but these are the characters that you're gonna see.
Some of them.
But again, this is the style. It's this heavy shadowed, like jaggedy lines. It's
Is the book
wonderful. It's such a
two
great.
color?
There's full color.
Yeah, the book is full color. This is some of the back matter that we did. Yeah,
I understand. That's why I asked. Yeah.
Yeah. The joke that nobody is going to get other than me is that I had used the original Monkey Brain issues were black and white with blue, so I used that blue for the back matter. No one cares. This is the kind of stuff that I obsess over because I'm a nerd and I care.
Yeah, but you know, 3 or 4 people out there, maybe more, are going to get it, and they are going to love you for it.
And if like one person emails me and says, "I see what you did there," I'm going to be like, "My job here is done. This is what I meant to do." So, but yeah, no, this is actually in full.
This is page 1. So
yeah.
And again, I just love it. It's I'm going to give you, you know, you're here, so I'm going to blow some smoke. So,
oh no, don't say nice things to me, Bob.
I am. This book, you did not write this book for me. I am not anybody's intended audience for this book. However, I have a niece, and I have a son's girlfriend who I am 100% going to buy this book for. And it is, it's so, I have questions. Like, as I was reading, it's very interesting when I read a book and I have questions, like, and I didn't write them down, but like, they were like, oh, I wonder why he did that. Oh, this is interesting over here. Oh, and I really like the way that this turn of phrase happened. And there was so much of that. But
it's a shame you can't ask any of those questions now.
Yeah, now that you have me.
I do. I'll find them. But
I mean, Mike and I can just talk about John Sable for half an hour.
We can do that too. But I mean, it's just. I will tell you that I'm not gonna spoil this, but there was something that happened about midway through the book, and I literally was like, "Oh man!" I thought you were going one place, and the critical family member flipped on me, and I was like, "Oh wow, let's go." So I think that's fair. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. I know exactly what you're referring to. Yeah, I mean,
you did your job.
I tried. I tried to do my job the best of my ability. I mean, listen, it's funny you guys were talking about Vertigo before I came on. And I mean, this to me, I did one Vertigo project back in the day, an Ark and Sandman Mystery Theater with my friend Steve Siegel and Matt Wagner. And then Richard Case came into Inc., all of whom are just amazing, unbelievably great guys.
Absolutely true.
Absolutely, all of them.
And this idea, when I was sort of thinking of it back then, like this, I came up with this idea like just before Vertigo launched, but it came out of that stew of projects that led to Vertigo. It came out of Arkham Asylum. It came out of Moonshadow. It's actually very influenced by JMD's Moonshadow, which I love telling him constantly, just to like make him all uncomfortable. This is your fault. But it was what was kind of going on at the time, and you were bringing in all these other influences, and that was kind of like where this whole idea came from. And then over time, as I learned more about storytelling, and I learned more about the kind of storytelling that I feel like I'm good at, that's kind of the story shifted and changed until it is what it is. But I really, one of the things I try really hard to do in everything is walk this really careful line between something that's comfortable and familiar, but then I'm gonna mess with it in some ways. And it actually makes these projects are really hard to pitch, because they sound like, oh, I've read that story. Yeah, but you haven't read that story this way. And that's a really hard thing to pitch. People want an easy hook to hang things on, and they want something new, but also not too new. So it gets really tricky. But I'm glad that got you. There are several things in there that were very carefully considered. Sort of, I tried to make deliberately different choices in a few places.
There's a technique that people discover after having been in for a little while, where they want to tell a story. They have a story to tell, and at the beginning, it certainly sounds like your typical story. There's nothing really tremendously new here in concept at the very beginning. Well, that makes sense. Those hooks you were just referring to, of course. But you slowly ramp up the differences so that when the reader starts seeing little things that don't fit into the form, their spider sense goes off. It's like, wait a moment, there's something weird going on here. And then it builds and it builds. And you've got them hooked. When you actually deliver that thing that makes it unique, you've got them hooked. It's really fun.
It's one of the fun things about like working in a very tropey kind of genre, and comics, so many tropes, so many things to play with, and to be able to flip those tropes, to be able to play around with them. It's fun. It's what makes sitting down and telling these stories fun. You sort of do giggle to yourself. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get him with this. So,
as well you should. Because that is the storyteller developing the relationship with the audience. You have the audience in mind at that point. You are their representative the moment that occurs to you. And that brings the reader in as a collaborator. And that makes the reader happy.
It's the thing when I sort of teach, if I ever talk about like how to make comics, it's the one thing I always really stress, that it's the one thing you kind of can't teach. You can teach someone how to construct a sentence. You can teach somebody how to pay attention to dialogue. There are all these mechanical things that you can learn. I mean, read anything Scott McCloud has done on the subject. The one thing you can't teach, which you really have to develop muscles for, I think, is the ability to stand back and read something as if you know nothing about it. To be able to see it totally fresh and see what the audience is going to see. And you can't teach someone how to do that. You just have to develop the muscle to do that. And it's an incredibly useful thing, because there's so many times you're in the middle of a story, and if you do step back and you look at it, even if it's just a line of dialogue, it's like, oh, there are multiple ways that line could be read. I need to rewrite it so that it conveys exactly what I'm trying to say. And I don't know how you teach that to anybody.
I think you're right. I think it's one of the most difficult things about becoming a creator, writer, and artist in both things. Being able to disconnect yourself from the thing that you've created and view it as somebody who doesn't know it. I think that's tremendous.
I listen to DVD commentaries for movies all the time. I'm fascinated by filmmaking. My favorite commentaries are always the director commentary on a really bad movie, or even better, a movie that just isn't all that great. It's not like a bad film. It just never quite comes together. And you're listening to the director's commentary, and he's talking about all these things about the movie, and you realize that he has a very different movie in his head. The things that he's talking about are not on the screen, and it's because, as both of you guys I'm sure know, it's like he's too close to the material. He knows what everything means. He's not seeing it from the audience's point of view. He's only seeing it from his. Anyways, sorry.
One of the things that's interesting about that,
absolutely true.
One of the things interesting about that is, even in this book, there are things where that you explain later that I'm like, as I was going through, I'm like, oh, I wonder where that came from. But then later on, you come back and you're like, oh, that's why Barnaby showed up, right? Like, and that is actually what happened. But and I think that's important. So I want to talk about Barnaby for a second. I want to talk about this page for two things. One is
my editor's favorite character in the entire book.
Well, I love him. Okay,
cool.
He's cutie patootie. That is his name forever.
All right.
So first of all, Christina's fantastic. Let's
love working with Christina. So
I think she's brilliant. But what about this character? How did you develop the look for this character? And can we talk about who he is?
Yeah. I mean, we can talk about who he is. The whole concept of the Night Folk, who are sort of the magical characters in this, is that they're the creatures that inspired all of our myths and legends about monsters and gods and things like that. Oddly enough, just because we talk about such in-depth nerdy things, that wasn't always the story. The story was that they originally were gods, and then Neil Gaiman put out a book called American Gods, and I went, I got to change that. And I actually end up really liking this a lot better, because it gave me a chance with somebody like Barnaby. And the idea is that Barnaby essentially, and something we reveal, if you're watching the podcast, this is a little bit of a spoiler. We reveal in the back matter that he has a brother. What happened to the brother, you'll have to keep reading the series. that they basically are the inspiration of, leprechauns or, wee folk, whatever, that sort of paradigm is because of these guys. So I wanted to design him in a way that evoked that without actually being that. So I actually made him a little more disturbing looking, but
Sure.
he's just the nicest, most loyal little guy.
Oh my God, I love him. So here's the other question I have. So,
Okay.
and this is nerdy for artists and people. Did you create your own brush, your own pen?
No, I did not.
This is off the hook.
This is off the hook. My friend Ray Friendon, who is a fantastic artist in his own right, but he also has a side business making digital brushes.
Okay.
And he did a whole set of brushes, and they're fantastic. They're the reason I was able to switch to digital is because of Clip Studio Paint and Ray's brushes. So he has this one brush that I then went in and tweaked a little bit to my own sort of specifications. And I loved it.
You should just name it like the Matt Dow Smith brush, right? Because it is the piece, it is the thing that makes it all work, right?
Cool.
I think you should explain that a little bit more.
Sure.
What about the line that you see on the screen right now made you ask that question?
So it's almost like a crayon in a lot of ways. And there's something about the way this design structure that you've embraced that just it captivates me, because this line, this heavy black line. Now, you've always been known for heavy black lines. Like, it's just, you're of the John Paul Leon school of that type of thing.
I'm the Mignola generation. We like our big heavy
right, exactly. But if you take that Mignola style, is fair enough, right? And you were to adapt it, and somebody said, "Hey, if you made that look like so for kids type style, this is it, right?" It's a heavy black outline. It's a heavy black that leads to the shadow, but it's also got this almost crayon texture to it.
Mm-hmm.
Or charcoal, or chalk.
The whole thought with the kid stuff was to here and Misfits of Magic and the project I've been serializing on Patreon, Amelia Shadows, is I wanted to boil everything that I did down to its absolute essence. Everything is the most simplistic form of what I do. And so what I discovered when you're working digitally is the cleaner the line is, the less interesting it was to me when it was simplified. It just sort of sat there. It was just a dead line. It had no life to it. And so, so I started messing around with brushes like Ray's brushes. And if anything, I think actually when I switched to the kid stuff, I went in and tweaked it so that you got more variation in the line, so it looked kind of scratchier.
Yep. That's what I'm saying. It looks like it's.
You've got to. If you're gonna,
it looks like it's not a fine point.
If you're gonna go that simply, you either have to be very, very clean, or very, very messy. And clean, my work. Clean does not interest me.
I'm gonna give you an example. Let's talk about Katie Cook's lines, right?
Yeah. Oh, and they're beautiful.
They're beautiful, but they're all and she never lift her stylus off her Cintiq, but it is all this beautiful, thin, perfect lines.
Yeah.
That don't tell her I said that. She'll get upset. But but it's very different in your styles, but they both work in almost the same ways.
Yeah.
Bob, could you go back to that page?
You want me to go back to that page?
Yeah, because I have a comment to make, but I stepped on
it bigger.
Yeah, just go. Yeah, that's it. Just see the full page. Matt, I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sure I was going to say something very, very intelligent and insightful. about art.
Oh, that would have been interesting, you know?
Yeah, that would have been really interesting, wouldn't it?
Excuse me. Let me tell you the first thing I saw on this page. It wasn't the eyes, which is pretty much where a person's attention is going to go. It was your balloon placements and the tails of the balloons leading into one another. Because that sets a time frame. People can feel the split seconds between those two lines, that they are separate, they exist separate, they're in separate balloons. But because you have, I can point, but nobody will see it, because you could follow the trail of the left balloon straight through the head to the right balloon's trail. You're setting up a time frame sequence, even in milliseconds, that allows the reader to get it right in his or her head.
Well, one of the things, so I did like a event last week where I was talking with a bunch of other creators about, our young adult books. And I think I gave everybody a heart attack when I revealed that I don't write scripts. I do everything on the page. So I open up a page in Clip Studio.
Neither does Eric Larson.
Well, there you go. I mean, I literally just open up the page, break it into panels, start writing dialogue in the balloons, and then I sketch in what I want to be in each panel. But it gives me so much control over the dialogue in the balloons and using the balloons to lead you through a page. And you can play around with it like in here, and just create balloons as storytelling elements, which is just it's just fun, and just to have that level of control. I've worked with some absolutely incredible letterers. I mean, Jupiter's Legacy, I had John Workman, who I think is one of the best letterers working today. I mean, he's just insanely talented.
The best.
Yeah. I was trying not to offend anyone else I'd worked with, Mike. But
I'm trying to offend everybody I've worked with.
Listen, John, by the way, John's coming to Baltimore, so in case you don't know.
I got to meet him once, and I got nerd all over him. Balloons.
John's a great guy.
Yeah, he seems
John is
a great guy.
Is one of my favorite people in the world.
Yeah.
And besides the fact that he's one of my favorite letterers of all time. But yeah, no,
and a damn good artist.
Oh, fantastic artist, and just like I said, great human. The lettering in this really, it was your balloon placement and the tails. I enjoyed it. As anybody who watches this show knows, I am a huge lettering nerd, and I get upset about it, and lettering will piss me off. I was very happy with the lettering in this book. I think it's well done. I got to take it out. I don't want to spoil too much, but
yeah, it was a whole learning to letter was a whole learning process for me.
Well, you know what?
Never done it before the last couple of years.
It's funny because it feels like you practiced on Instagram.
Yeah, no, I did. I mean, all the comics, the web comic stuff I did, for people who don't know about this, during COVID, I just, the entire industry shut down. We didn't really have any work. And my whole attitude was like, well, if I'm going down, I'm going down doing my own stuff. So I started doing my own comics on Twitter and just posting them on, various social media sites. But I wasn't getting paid for it, so I couldn't afford a colorist or a letterer. So I literally started doing it all myself, and I learned as I went, and I figured out sort of the art of lettering as best as I could. And then don't get me going on the coloring, because I'd never colored before. I'm not comfortable coloring. It's literally,
you did a great job. Again, it matches the line style. It's perfect.
What's funny, first off, it took me a longer to color this book than it took me to draw it.
I believe you.
Not that I did anything all that fancy in this book. It's just I didn't know what I was doing yet. I was learning how to choose colors that played well with each other. I struggled with it so much. And then I think like all of the interviews or all of the reviews I've seen of this book so far have all mentioned the colors. It's kind of like,
like I said, it matches the brush. It's perfect. It just really works well. And
coloring is a whole form. And a lot of artists learn coloring through circumstances not dissimilar to yours, Matt. I'm reminded of a lot of really good talent that got their start at Charlton, who would letter and color their own pages because it's the only way they can make enough money to work for Charlton. Yeah. And they were just breaking in. And doing that for a year or two, they learned their stuff. They may not be the greatest letterer or the greatest colorist, but they knew what it took because they had to get in and get dirty. So it's a learning experience, and thank God for COVID.
Yeah, I mean it's been interesting. Sorry, go ahead, Bob.
Well, I'm just saying part of good coloring is making good choices, right? That's it's not, there's the technical aspect of being able to do the thing, right? But you can, it's a technique, right? That you learn, just like you learn how to weld or you learn how to, but it's the choices that you make. So for example, the decision to shadow her here this way, and the decision to pull this out, right? You didn't have to do any of that, right? It would have been fine, but that elevates the book in certain ways that just makes it takes it from that little piece, takes it from kids book to YA to adult, right? That it's a very simple, elegant thing that you do, but it fully forms the room.
Well, right? I have the advantage, and it's how I've approached everything, including my art early in my career when I was only getting work as an artist for the first 25 years of my 26, 27 years of my career, is that I was a writer first. I always considered myself a writer first. So all of my choices are about telling the story. My choices have never been to, let's be honest, the detriment of my career. My choices have never been about, let's make this look cool. Let's make this look flashy. My choices have always been about what I wanted the audience to feel reading that page.
That's the way to do it.
But that's the same way I approach the lettering and the coloring. It's about learning. It's about what I want the audience to feel and learning how to get that out of an audience in a new aspect of making comics.
This page shows us one of the unique elements of comics. Something that other media can't do as well. Many can't do at all. We can totally cheat on our lighting sources to create shadows and to create effects. If you were to actually build that room, you'd have a hard time lighting it so that you'd get the shadows that we see on that page, but it looks exactly right and very cool and gives all the necessary perspective on that page. We can do that. Steven Spielberg can't.
Well, it's like when people try to recreate Mignola shadows on film. And several directors have tried to do it, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because those shadows don't make any sense. They just look cool. And we can do that
and you can't do Kirby Crackle, which is the most basic element in comics. You can't do it in any other medium except maybe animation if you have a huge budget and a lot of computers.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to maybe that Mr. Miracle series that's coming up, but in the past, no, couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So we're gonna move a little bit here, but so one of the things I also wanted to and we're gonna wrap up on the October Girl, which comes out next week. From Matt
Tuesday.
Cave. It's under the Maverick label. Christina Harrington is the editor that we mentioned earlier. The back to your lettering, like the concept of the way you do your very, and so there is a bit of a John Workman, influence on your word balloons. But I love the way that you move between word balloons and personal narrative, which is in the caption boxes. That I think that works so well, especially what I really loved. One of the really interesting aspects of this book is the chapter breaks. I mean, I highly recommend this book. This is a great book to read, but the chapter breaks, they're like you hit somebody with a quote or a line or something, and it's just like, oh, okay, hang on, let me tighten that seatbelt just a little bit more. Here we go. It's really fun. They're open blank pages with just this line of dialogue or caption thought or a quote, and it's just an absolutely fun read.
Thank you. Well,
there was out on the 22nd,
21st, right? Tuesday the 21st.
Tuesday the 21st, and it is a graphic novel as packaged.
As packaged graphic novel.
And how big is it?
181 pages.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay. Sorry, I immediately go into Monty Python when I said that.
No, it's quite all right. It's the first, guaranteed 3 books are coming out. I'm literally inking the last couple of chapters of book 3 as we speak. Book 2 is done, proofread, ready to go to the printer. So,
all right.
hopefully we'll get to do some more because there's a lot more story I'd like to tell. But having worked a little bit in television on a show that got canceled before my episode ever got shot, I did set up each episode to potentially be the end, each book to potentially be the end. But we are definitely doing the 3, and hopefully if this does well, we'll get to do more stories. And you will find out. Bob will be very interested to find out that there's some stuff being set up that you don't realize is being set up.
Listen, I'm looking forward to that. I don't even know what I don't know, but I'm looking forward to finding it out.
I got to set up some things. It's just really fun to be able to set up something that you're not going to realize how important it is until you get to a later book. So
one of the things about reading this book is that I believe you. Like, I've read it and I believe you. I don't know what it is, but I know there's stuff that I don't know. And I know that you already know what I don't know.
Yeah, I know at least several really big things that you do not know. And Mike is just looking confused now.
I was a kid, Donald Rumsfeld was my congressman. I've had enough of that.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
No, we are not going to go into known unknowns, but it's one of the fun things to do with a series. Like, I've never really gotten to build my own series before. I never had the chance to, or at least I never got to build a series that actually got made. So it was fun to set some things up that would come in later.
I'm very excited about it. But also, we just want to before we bring it, we're gonna bring in. You're gonna hang with us?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I love Brad.
Okay. So we're going to bring in our guest in a minute, but before we get to bring Brad in, I want to talk. So it's been over 2 years since you were on the show.
And we haven't aged a day.
Well, I have, and I have proof of it. But
just this week,
I have. Back when we had you, I didn't have the side beard. I just had goatee, but it was really long.
Yeah, I've forgotten about that. Okay.
All right. So anyway, but coming in spring, a thing that you worked on for a really long time was Amelia Shadows. That was kind of in your Patreon that you had for a really long time, and now you've kind of put that aside. And we talked about this when you were on a while ago, that you wanted to move Amelia Shadows to a younger style. And so that's coming out from Mad Cave under the Paper Cuts label next spring. So I want to, hopefully we'll have you on closer to that, so it won't be 2 years again. We can talk about how that's going.
Yeah, no, it's another chance. I mean, it's funny because the October Girl is a very serious and I think introspective kind of book. I mean, there is still a sense of fun and adventure and stuff like that, but it is essentially a very important emotional story. But both DC's Misfits of Magic and Amelia's Shadows are just an excuse to do a bunch of stuff I think is funny. So
yeah.
I grew up on Monty Python, this lesser known thing, at least over here, The Goon Show, which was a comedy radio show that sort of launched Peter Sellers' career.
Spike Milligan.
Spike Milligan is one of the absolute comedy geniuses of all time.
Absolutely.
And like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I grew up on all this stuff. So those books are my excuse to just basically be a goofball and do funny things. So Amelia's Shadows is basically, well, I also grew up on the Addams Family. And so Amelia's Shadows is not, and I don't mean the show, I mean the original cartoons. The original Charles Addams cartoon collections. So this is kind of like, it's kind of, you know, what if Charles Addams created Zatanna and she's a little girl?
Sounds good to me.
It's fun.
I should show both of you the unpublished proposal that DC had me put together, and I was happy to do so, for an Addams Family comic book written by Mike Barron, drawn by Bill Ray. It was gorgeous, and the reason why it didn't sell, it didn't work, we didn't publish it, is because Addams's widow got very, very upset with the guy who wrote the theme song to the TV show holding up the next movie.
Okay.
By wanting too much money. And that screwed our comic book.
That's crazy.
Well, that makes all the sense in the world because it's
absolutely.
Welcome to entertainment, everybody. This is what
like. I was used to it by then, but boy, I haven't told that story for a while. I'm glad. Thank you for letting me get that one out.
I mean, I'm a huge Addams Family guy. There's something about there's again, it's about walking a tightrope between just being really dark and being really funny, and that balance is so hard to get, and he does it just so masterfully, and it's like. It's one of those things which, you know, I'm sure you guys have experienced too. It's just like one of those things that's just part of your creative DNA, whether you notice it or not. And you'll go back years later and you're like, oh, that's where that came from. That's where that part of my brain comes from. So, but yeah, so Amelia's Shadows, it's we're doing print editions I've been serializing these on my Patreon. There's 7 of them so far, and we're gonna begin doing print things. And I'm really excited because I love Patreon, and I love doing comics on there. But you know, I have like 100 people reading this book, so it would be nice. It would be nice to maybe have some other people read the book. So, and that's exciting.
All right, thanks, Matt. I want you to stay around because we're gonna bring Brad in. We can talk about stuff. We can have Brad interview you as well. But
let's talk to Brad.
Live from the Sheridan in downtown Baltimore, we would love to bring in Mr. Brad Tree, who will be helping us open the Baltimore Comic-Con in 2 days, 14 hours, 45 minutes, and 6 seconds. Hey, Brad.
My God, I want to kill Steve Conley every time I look at that timer on the website.
Listen, Steve Conley's work on
not enough
website,
time.
Steve Conley's work on his website is brilliant.
It's just mean.
It's just every time. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Bob, but every time I look at that website, someone said it. At some point, someone said, "Yeah, hey, the show's going to be in 6 weeks." I said, "No, it's not. It's 7. Look at the timer. I need every one of those weeks. Darn it." So, Matthew, great to see you again.
And, good to see you too, Brad. Nice. I hope everything's going okay, and you're not too frantic, though. I'm sure you are.
It's going dandy. I'm a little wired because I may have had a bit of caffeine on the drive up from
How was
North
your
Carolina
drive?
today. So about 6 hours, and so
It's not bad. That's
Yeah.
pretty good.
no, it's not bad. There was no snow and there was no chaos
Listen,
around.
I hate that drive. I don't mind going to your place. I just hate coming home from your place.
It's not a pleasant time.
Well, I have the same length of drive before I see all three of you in 2 days. And Brett, I should point out that we just spent the last 76 minutes plugging your show, so we don't have to talk about that anymore. What else is new?
We could go to any topic you want, Mike. I'm happy to hear you tell a story about almost any topic. But I'm happy to be here with Matthew. I was thinking about Matthew's actually listed as being one of our guests for next year's show because we were late on the trick this year. But the last time I think I saw Matthew, I asked him to mash up two of my favorite things in an image for me, and they come back to mind quickly. But imagine if Stephen Capaldi's or what is it, Capaldi? Yeah, Capaldi, Doctor Who. Peter Capaldi's companion for the travel had been a young Barbara Gordon in her full Batgirl 66 getup.
Wow.
Yeah, that was fun to
I just watched Mike's reaction to that, and it was pretty good.
That was the mashup I loved. It was old and new, and it clicked every Batgirl 66 trigger this 56-year-old dude has.
That's really clever. I'm sorry, but I really like that.
And it was fun to draw.
If you're selling that as a concept, as a book, or
I wish.
I wish we could. I can't imagine what the William Dozier estate would have to do to get that to work.
Good Lord.
The Addams Family song fouled something up. But in any case, it's great to see Matthew every time I get a chance to.
Thank you.
And so,
Thank you.
But yeah, well, thanks for having me on, Bob and Mike. I get to watch your show every once in a while. I can't always make it, but it's always an interesting mix of topics and challenges. Tonight, you are right. I am coming from you. I'm not going to mention the hotel name again because, a whole bunch of people will be here in a few days, and I don't want them to be bothered. But we are here in Baltimore and getting ready for the big show, the really, really big show.
So let me get this a little bigger. But this is the big show,
website,
right? This is the big show. Oh, that's weird.
This is the big show. This is this is our 26th show. And I think I skipped out on COVID year kind of. We didn't do that one in person, but we are mixing up and matching a lot of great guests, a lot of cool media people who we haven't had before, and just a host of fun pals, old and new. Really, we try to highlight our comic guests. The general public loves the media celebrities, and that's how we get Aunt Sally and Uncle John in here, who haven't read a comic in a little while. But once you're in that room, there's a lot of capes. There's a lot of fantastic stuff out there to be enjoyed.
One of my favorite things about this show. Sorry, one of my favorite things about this show, Brad. You get some really great that you don't see at other shows. Like I just saw Chiarello is going to be there. Alan Davis is going to be there.
I'm going to have panels with both of them.
That's insane.
I know.
Say hi to Mark. Say hi to Mark for me. He's one of my favorite people in the whole world.
I have not. I've not actually Mark's been on the circuit like this past year or so, and I've seen him at shows, but I've never actually gotten the guts to go up and talk to him. But he's actually going to be on a panel that I'm hosting, so I actually have to talk to him. Tell him how much I love my baseball book.
We were talking about my coloring earlier. I learned.
Oh, I'm sure.
Basically, so much from Mark and studying kind of what Mark did. But anyways, Brad, I was just going to say, you really, it's not smoke. You genuinely get really great guests.
Well, it is amazing. It is definitely a team effort. And I think that we get great talk from all the other artists who tell their pals about it and who want to come, and that's a great time. And then there's I really think that it's Chaikin who gave me, I think, one of the best quotes, is that it's the most collegial of comic shows that he goes to.
And that's accurate.
It's
accurate. That's right on the money.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a place to hang out. It's a place to see people you haven't seen in a long time. It's we do the Ringos on Saturday night, and we've kind of billed that as a comics family reunion dinner. We'll do those again this year. To me, it all comes down, and this is going to just sound geeky, but if you told 12-year-old Brad that, Howard Chaikin would, occasionally curse at him and occasionally call him pal, and Walter Simonson would know my name, my head would have exploded. So to us, it's really about being a fan. And for Mark, who founded the show, it's about loving his city, the city of Baltimore. I remember a few years ago getting a call. These convention centers from around the country will call you up to try to get your business. And they called me up, I think it was St. Louis one year, and they said, well, we're interested in having you guys at the show. I said, the name of the show is the Baltimore Comic-Con. So it's kind of right there. I'm not your client. But I got nothing out of that phone call except a couple of laughs. But yeah, it's a matter of having fun, and I'll just pump it again. It's family. My 25 and 27-year-old sons, or 24, somewhere in their 20s, sons are gonna, they're all over the show. They're with me, and that is part of the joy of doing the show, is being with family all weekend. Hell, my ex-wife, who I get along with very well, but I'm not sure many guys would recruit their ex-wives. Her son recruited her to be kind of den mom of the volunteer room, and
I met her last year for the first time when I was in
yes. She
I was like, all right, good.
Well, it is also sort of like old home week, because
it can be. Yeah,
their show is so popular with its guests that we have a tendency to really want to come back year after year after year. This year, I'm doing 6 panels, and Bob just sent me my little itinerary. It was very cleverly put together. And I see that I'm doing a tribute panel for Peter David and a tribute panel for Jim Shooter. Then I see I'm doing a panel with my pal, Mike Grell. And I had to stop and think, like, oh, no, it's not a tribute panel. It's cool. It's cool.
This is Mike's manic schedule. Let's go back to this one. This is Mike's schedule. If you're looking for Mike this weekend, this is what he is. So just so I'm clear, this is on his phone right now. So I am absolved from him knowing
it's not your problem.
It's not my fault.
I forgot about
you know me. You know me better than that, Bob.
Look, there's one that says with Bob, so there you even know that one.
Is that the only one?
It's only one.
We're only doing one together?
Huh. Only one. I have 9. I'll be at 9 panels this weekend.
Good Lord.
Bob, heavily recruited by the very talented Adam Phillips.
Well, I'm gonna give everybody just a second here to give you my experience. Like, we do this show every week, and I write for Pop Culture Squad, and I talk to other people, and I do a bunch of things. But if it wasn't for Baltimore Comic-Con, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. Right? I went to Baltimore Comic-Con.
Don't blame me, Bob. Don't.
We went. It's Adrian's fault.
You're a co-conspirator.
But it was 2014, Baltimore Comic-Con 2014 was the first show I went to, and I immediately wanted to be part of that show. The reason I started doing panels was because I enjoyed the panels, and I'm like, well, how can I help? How can I be part of this? And so while it's something I love, and I would love to do other places as well, being part of Baltimore Comic-Con's programming is, the core of what I do. It's I think we've put it together. Adam's done a fantastic job putting together a fantastic programming schedule.
He has.
We've recruited more people. I have some. It's going to get even better next year. I can tell. Just great topics, interesting topics. I think over the nine panels, really 8 of them. The ninth one is the auction, which is on Saturday afternoon. We do an art auction for all of the pieces that people donate that are in the yearbook, and I host that with Josh Golden. That's a lot of fun. But the actual interview panels and discussion panels, of those 8, there's 31 individuals who you can come to those 8 panels and hear ideas and thoughts and things from 31 different people.
It is amazing to me every year that Adam, this is Adam's second year with us doing it. He has done a great job. And still I get people coming to me going, hey, can I get on a panel? Can I,
I understand. I'm looking through and I'm like, oh shit, I forgot we didn't get this person on. Like, I'm looking at it and thinking the same thing.
Right. Yeah.
So next year,
funny. Yes.
Oh, we're doing a panel.
I was going to say, are we going to do the Blue Devil greatest character ever, or the Blue Devil greatest character of all time?
We will do that one.
Work it out.
You got to get Jerry here
back into the hall, and you and Paris can duke it out and figure it out.
It'll be a continued story. It won't really be resolved until the very end of the show. Many years ago, 1977, I got married. And I got married right after the Chicago Comic-Con, of which I was an organizer back then. Mm-hmm. And each year we had an auction for literacy volunteers, usually for literacy programs. George Hagenauer was involved in all that. It's great stuff. But that particular year, I had to leave in my tuxedo in order to go get married. And my best friend was obviously my best man and was also a comics fan, because that's how comics fans are. So he was in a tuxedo, and we sat at the back of the auction and bid everything up in our tuxedos, scored nothing, and left. I was 27. That's my excuse.
any top hat and monocle, or just the tux alone?
Yeah. Top hat and monocle will be next time.
Did you wave your cane in the air?
Yeah. If I had my cane back then, I would have. Now I just wave it at everybody.
If you show up in a top hat and monocle, I'm going to know the gig is up for the auction this year. If you go to our website, there's just a million guests, and looking around, I'll put our comic guest list up against anybody in the industry.
Yeah, I've talked to people in the industry throughout, and people have told me, man, the guest list at Baltimore this year. It's high. It's definitely. I mean, there are people who haven't never been here. There are people who haven't been here in a while. It is everything from Silver Age to Bronze Age to modern to 90s to everything. Every type of creator guest, whether they're writers, whether they're artists, whether they're inkers, there's letterers.
It's all over the map. My favorite guest, I think, that I'm looking forward to meeting, although I never read a single issue, Barbara Friedlander.
I do have a panel.
Classic Silver Age DC talent who created Swinging with Scooter, and may have been like one of the first women to write comics inside of DC. Although I don't know all of the proper bona fides there, but she was heavily involved, obviously, and she's coming to the show. And I brought props too. I got props. Right? I don't know if that reads right.
Nice.
It's probably all backwards, isn't it?
No.
Does it read right?
It reads right.
Adam Kubert's coming. Can't beat Adam Kubert, right?
What you up here? What else you got?
Okay, so Adam Kubert's coming. He'll be there all weekend. We got Donnie Cates. Donnie Cates. I was a geek for this book where he pulled like a bunch of people's other IP together into one story, with everybody's permission, I guess. I sure hope so. And I thought that was cool. A guy like Pat Oliff. So for anybody who didn't read this book, it's, and this may be sacrilege to some of you Ditko fanatics, but I think Busiek and Oliff really added to the lead Ditko legend there with that book. And then kind of, we were talking about the yearbook earlier. Jeff Smith, who let us use Bone for the yearbook this year. These aren't just props; they're books I've brought to get autographed.
I know what they are, Brad. I'm well aware of what they are.
Because comic book geeks have heart. It's all right there.
I like how you've organized your week because you don't even have to change your shirt. You're good to go.
Hang on, I'm gonna tell on Brad. He got in the green room and he was not wearing that shirt. He said, "Hang on, let me change my shirt for a minute just before I brought him online."
Perfect.
He's got the branding down.
I try. I had this thing I had driven in all day, and I'm like, wait a minute, we're there for the show. So, I just got one more book to show, and then I'll shut up about guests.
What do you got?
You've all mentioned Mark Chiarello.
Oh yeah,
we've all
This book was his brainchild, and I was flipping through. I was like, I'll get Mark to sign this and Chaikin for his issue, but there's like 15 guys in this book that are in the room, and the rest of them, a few have passed, but it's Paul Pope and Chaikin and a few others and Chiarello, and so it's and plus I found it really good at a used bookstore lately, so it's a really good book.
That series could have just been dumb. It just could have been just stuff people had lying around. It could have been boring. It was the exact opposite. It was brilliant.
There's a Teddy Christensen story in there, isn't there? A Dead Man Teddy Christensen story, which is one of the. I'm a huge Teddy Christensen fan. If you know
there is a Teddy Christensen story in here. He had an issue, I guess. He must.
Yeah, it was a really cool book.
Every book was an issue, and so there's like 12 or 13 of them in there.
For people who don't know what Solo was, it was Mark Chiarello basically going to a bunch of artists and saying, if you had one issue and you got to do whatever you wanted to do, what would you do? And then he said, okay, go do it. So
and was it? I'm not familiar. I wasn't familiar with it. Is it? All different characters.
All different characters. I mean, Darwin Cook has an issue in here where he leads off with a Slam Bradley story, and then a few other things that Darwin always did well. I'm not gonna find it. I mean, Jordy Bernay has an issue in here. Chaikin has an issue, and it's all kind of it's certainly there's capes in there and stuff, but there's also cool stuff like I'm gonna get lost up reading this instead of paying attention to the camera.
No, I would. If I had it in front of me, I'd be reading it right now and not talking to you guys.
I mean, Chaikin has a story about turn of the century West. He's got a Clark Kent story in here. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff that are just it's people doing interesting stuff that Chiarello just kind of promoted. It was, to me, along with Wednesday Comics, are like two masterpiece books that the man.
Absolutely. I was about to make that very connection. I think Solo and Wednesday Comics were two of the highlights of DC at that time. I'm sorry?
Say that again, man.
Don't forget Batman Black and White. I mean that.
Yeah. I didn't realize he was the leading force on that as well, eh?
Yeah, he was the main editor, at least on the first one. I'm pretty sure. I don't know about the other ones, but
So
I'm going to be roaming the room, taking care of problems and getting a couple autographs. I also have some responsibilities dealing with our celebrity cruise. I've got people helping me do that, but making sure that I'm very proud of the crew of celebrities we brought in this year.
You should be. You should be. I mean, I think that, and what I love about them, what I love about the celebrities you have this year, is they are, I go to a bunch of shows. Everybody knows that. The Baltimore is usually pretty particular about the celebrities. Some shows have no celebrities, but some shows are just like, if there's a film of you and it hit some publication or some broadcast outlet, you can be here.
Yes.
But like Carl Lumley, I mean, that's a good get.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, the idea to bring Carl in came, we saw he was appearing obviously on the circuit, and it didn't, and it was a little bit of Captain America related, right? Because as Isaiah in that movie, he is living in Baltimore. He's kind of like Baltimore's Captain America, and so we that was our geek, right? And you look at the superhero over. See, I was listening that over that Dantes during the Justice, his appearances in Supergirl. The man's been all over our genre. So I
don't know if Mike knows, but between Matt and Brad and I, listen, Mantis was a good show. I loved Mantis.
I enjoyed some of it. I don't remember. I'll admit it. I was a little sucked up with. I don't know what year that was, but I was probably trying to finish high school or something.
You were.
I had a couple of friends involved in that show, so
it's so it's a great mix of celebs. It's a few celebs, and it's I don't know. At last count, we're well over 250, if not 300, comic book artists, creators, and writers of various stripes and experience levels and creeds.
And I want to talk about a couple of things. So, like if you're watching or listening, go to the comment section. There is a link to the tickets page where you can go and find out all the different ticket options for this weekend, which there are plenty of, plus all of the celebrity packages that you can get in terms of autographs and stuff. That's in the comments section wherever you're watching this. The other thing is about the show, besides the fact that we're talking about the celebrities that are there that are really cool. There are tons of comic book creators, whether they're writer, artist, whatever. There's so many. One of the things that's really makes Baltimore special compared to a lot of other shows is that there's a lot of comic books. Physically, you can go there and buy comic books.
Yeah.
There are a lot of shows where you can't. JRD, we'll see you in a few days. Nice. Thanks for stopping by. But beyond all of that, there's a huge cosplay apparatus that has built up over the last few years. I think getting some key people involved in building that structure and that community that's really flourished here is important. And so I'm going to give you that, and I'm going to give you some time to talk about also, our Artist Alley it would be Mike Waringo's dream to go walk through that Artist Alley.
Oh yeah.
Great reference. We I don't want to take credit for anyone else's work. There's a large committee of people who have put together this crowd. The retail sector alone is super impressive, and that obviously Mark is part of that network, and Chris works that. I went to a recent show that I won't name and went to see Howard there, in fact, for a quick visit. And on my way out, I did a little comic shopping, and I didn't find anything at the one booth offering comics. So it was I didn't come up with much of a grab bag that day. But it's always been a retailer focused show. It's why when you walk in the hall, you walk through our retailers before you get to the artists and the writers and the talent and the movie people are all at the back of the room. We want to focus on comics. We're a comic show, and I'm happy to help people start their comics book experience, if they want to come and see the Weasleys, all except Ron. Ron's not available, but the other Weasleys are there.
Let me tell you what a comic book show is all about. A few years ago at Baltimore, I was talking to a friend, Jamie Graham, from Graham Crackers Comics, and Dan Zitio, who was with DC at the time, was there. We're chatting and all that, but Dan is spelunking through all the boxes, and Jamie Graham had a lot of boxes, and he's pulling out all the copies of Where Monsters Dwell, a Marvel reprint book of good horror stories that Dan already owned. I asked him, and I said, "Wow, Where Monsters Dwell?" And he says, "Yeah, I'm a fan." And I said, "I know, that's why we're here. That's why we got into the business. We're fans. And if you're spelunking through boxes and boxes to get a complete run of Where Monsters Dwell, you're a fan."
So I love the fact that you call it spelunking, because my wife calls it dumpster diving. So
I'm trying to bring a little class in here, but I get her point. Yeah.
Well done, Mike. Well
Totally.
done.
Well, I will say that in my 25 years ago at the first show, it was a one-day show at the hotel up in Towson. I rolled in and I saw the line to get George Perez to sign a couple of books, and I realized at that point that, well, boy, this line's really kind of chaotic. And I knew Mark and some of the guys working the show. I said, "Hey, do you need a hand?" And I got to get the position standing near George, and that's when you learn it's a lot more fun to hang around near the talent while they talk instead of standing at the back of that line waiting to get your couple of minutes of time.
Right.
And I was hooked ever since. Now I have no idea what he said that day. I mean, I just know that I ate it all up with a spoon. And so
he was at the show in 2014 my first show I went to at Baltimore Comic-Con, and we bought a sketch from him that day. I have a picture of it, of him and that was that concept, right? So going to that show, knowing George Perez was going to be there, and getting a chance to meet him and tell him just how much he meant to me and how much joy he brought to my life was just something I never thought I would have the opportunity to do. And it was, and I stole it. I mean, I have a $25 George Perez head sketch. I mean, how do you?
Yeah. But
what we're saying here, I'm sorry, please.
No, Mike, come on, go.
What we're saying here is, if you're a comics fan, come to this Baltimore show. Yeah. You're going to enjoy the hell out of it. If you're not a comics fan, it's been an hour and 43 minutes.
What are you doing?
The one thing I'm going to add to this conversation is making comics. You're working in a bubble. You're sitting alone in a room, or in my case, sitting alone in a studio with my studio mate. But you're pretty isolated, and you go to these shows, and that can be very overwhelming because we're all introverts, many of us with ADD. But to sit there and to have people come up and and have people come up and just tell you that what you did meant anything to them at all, even if just like, hey, my kid liked this. I didn't read it. I don't read comics, but my kid likes it. Just to have that kind of moment of just connecting with the audience. Like we live off that fuel for months after a show, because otherwise you're just sitting alone in your room with your cats thinking, why am I doing this again? So,
to feed the cats.
That's why.
I'll tell you the opposite experience, because that was really weird for me. I was in Anchorage, Alaska, doing a store signing. It was the second time I had been to that store in 4 days. Each appearance was 3 hours long. It was an amazing experience in Anchorage. This is a wonderful city. So this youngster comes up to me and says, "Oh, my dad loves your books," and I'm going like, "Oh, yeah, thank you." You're trying to be polite, but, and then Dad comes up. He says, "Yeah, I love your stuff," and he says, "And so did my father." And Grandpa comes up. This was 1986, and I still haven't gotten over that.
That's crazy.
No, they breed early in Alaska, clearly.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Alaska. Beautiful place. It's melting. It's beautiful.
So it is the show opens at 1:00 on Saturday. Is that right? Is that that?
Oh no. Well, on
Friday.
Friday. So a couple of this quick highlight. We open up to the general public at 1:00 on Friday, 10:00 on Saturday, and 10:00 on Sunday. Saturday, plan early, plan ahead. The Baltimore Marathon is also in town, so park south of the city. The Baltimore, there's a number of locations. We've got a great company that allows you to buy your parking ticket or parking. It's not a parking ticket. That's totally different. You're parking admittance into early, but my advice is to stay south and use the light rail if you're coming in that morning, because it'll be a little chaotic traffic wise. But Friday, Sunday, totally unaffected by the marathon. Great kids' day of programming. The Phineas and Ferb and other projects that those two fellows work on are recording on, are having their panel on Sunday. Friday's going to be a great day. Carl Lumley's packages, his panel's Friday afternoon. So something to do every day. Cosplay, costume showcases on Saturday and Sunday. I'm knocking on wood that we are going to do the cosplay. There's a big set of convention center, and when you fill those stairs with cosplay guys and gals, it's a great photo. So all what do they say on subs when they're gonna all engines ahead? I don't know.
Full speed ahead.
Full speed ahead. Give me warp 9, Sulu. We gotta go. But I'm looking forward to the show. I'm a little wired right now. I need some sleep, but eventually we'll get that probably on.
You got to get some now because you got another day and you got no more.
Yep.
I got a little bit of prep time ahead of me, but no, we're thrilled and hope. Obviously we've got social media for questions. We've got the website for questions. There's a great FAQ there. I know people sometimes aren't quite sure what's happening next, and look at those online resources. All of us are at the show come Thursday and Friday to set up, so it's tougher to answer questions at that point, but we do our best. So I hope everybody can come out and join us.
As I do every year, I am looking forward to your show. I'm looking forward to seeing my friends. I'm looking forward to having a good time, and I know from experience all of that is going to happen.
Thank you. I appreciate the vote of confidence.
All right. Gentlemen, thank you both for being here. This was a great conversation about all kinds of cool stuff. It's exactly what we want to do here at Pop Culture Squad. Talk about what moves us, what inspires us, and coming together as a community. And all of that has happened today. And I appreciate you guys being here.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Brad, see you guys in 2 days.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to come over. We'll have to get you come visit the show there, Matt, as well.
Okay. Well, we lost Bob.
We lost Brad, but we're losing you too.
We lose more convention sponsors that way. It's just they just disappear.
I'm going to let you go as well.
Great. Thanks so much, guys.
So much.
Always a pleasure talking to you.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Matt. Really appreciate it. All right.
It's just us, and we're going to be back here next week. Next week, somebody who we're going to see in a couple of days, Dean Haspel is going to be on the show. We're going to talk about his new Kickstarter. We have booked the following week as well. It's another Kickstarter.
Between now and next week, I think Dean is launching 2 or 3 more Kickstarters.
Right.
So we'll have a lot to talk about.
We'll have a lot to talk about. So next week is Dean Haspiel. The following week is going to be Kat Kalamia and Phil Falco, who are, I am super excited for you to meet them. They are what first would be if first was today.
I got to take it. I need a nap.
They are building an empire through Kickstarter and making great comics along the way. So they have a new thing coming out, and we want to talk about them. I've wanted to have them on the show for a while. They're going to be here in 2 weeks. Next week is Dean. 2 days is you and I. We'll see each other, and everybody come out to Baltimore Comic-Con. We'll try and get as much stuff on the sites and the socials as we can, but we will be busy.
All right. Folks, thank you as always for sitting through all this. We had a great party tonight. And we look forward to your seeing us again next week.
All right. Everybody, take it easy.
Take it easy.
This has been a production of the Pop Culture Squad Network. PopCultureSquad.com. How do you nerd?